Are you leaving money on the table? If you're a handmade seller on Amazon, you may be missing out on one of the most powerful tools, Amazon Brand Registry. Today, we're going to talk about why it's worth it, how it can help protect your business, and how it can drive more sales to your handmade store. So first, I want to talk about if you don't have a trademark. So if you don't have a trademark in your respective country, the US, Canada, Mexico, the European Union, then you may want to apply for one. So trademarks protect you from anyone stealing your ideas, stealing your company name, and just overall legitimizing your business. So if you don't have a trademark, you can still put your brand and business name in the brand area when you're listing your products on Amazon. It just will not have the brand registry aspects that you have when you apply for brand registry and have an official trademark. If you ever decide to apply for a trademark and want to apply for brand registry later, this may require you to relist your products, which means you will have to start all over with a brand new listing, so you lose all your momentum in the platform for that particular product, and you lose all your sales and all your reviews. And while sometimes that may be okay because you haven't been selling very long, I have some listings that if I had waited to get my trademark, I would have had issues losing the momentum and I would have lost probably thousands of dollars in sales. If you have been selling on Etsy or your own website for a while, and you really want to make your business legit and protect your brand, getting a trademark is one of the things you can do to do that. I highly recommend applying for a trademark just to protect your business, not necessarily just for Amazon, but we can talk more about the trademark process in another video. But I just wanted to be super clear and upfront that you will need one for brand registry. Let's talk about what Amazon's brand registry is. And I'm gonna look over to the side because I'm gonna read you what it says from the Amazon website. Amazon Brand Registry is a program for brand owners designed to help protect their intellectual property, or IP, manage the accuracy of their listings, and grow their business for free. You do have to pay for the trademark, but applying to brand registry and making that part of your selling account is free. Additionally, brands enrolled in brand registry get access to an exclusive set of brand benefit tools and programs that help improve their brand's discoverability and sales on Amazon. There are lots of tools available to a brand registered account, and we'll go over those a little more in this video. So like I said, you do have to have a trademark, but it doesn't have to be fully filed and registered with the USPTO.gov website. When I got my trademark, I did it myself. I went to a site and a company called Indie Law. They're indielaw.com. They have several webinars and free things that you can use to file for yourself. And they also will help you file if that's what you're looking for. I was super lucky that when I typed in my business name into the search field for the USPTO.gov website, absolutely nothing came up. So that meant that it was free and clear. You type in your business name into the search and you get absolutely nothing, you should be able to file on your own pretty easily. I filed for myself, got the serial number, and was able to enter that into brand registry. I highly recommend Indie Law and checking them out, especially if you're a handmade business owner. Once you start the trademark process, you can join brand registry. It's super easy, and you just have to set up a brand registry account, which you can do through your current Amazon selling platform. You definitely want those to be connected so that your brand is registered to your account, because that becomes very pertinent later when you're filing for violations or if someone has infringed on your business. Right now, it's taking about a year or so to become fully registered, but once you submit your word mark, which is what Indie Law recommends and what I would recommend, you just type in your business name and you just get it as a generic name. Like, there's no logo associated with it, there's no stylizing, so you can change your logo however you want as long as you just have your name registered. And that costs about $250, and that's per class. So I registered obviously for stickers and stationery. If I wanted to go into food or t-shirts or something else, I would have to register for another class of products. So that's how you register your name. It does take about probably 24 to 48 hours for it to be fully into the system. And when you type in the name you registered, then you will see it show up in the search results, and it will say live, and it will say, when you click into it, it will say pending. There's a lot of steps that it has to go through. It has to go through the US government, and then they also list it in a gazette. so that if anyone has any objections to you filing the business name, they can make those objections while it's filed. It's only filed for like 30 days. I had no objections, obviously, because my name was not being used anywhere else and there was no other trademarks pending for that particular business name. It stays there for about 30 days. Once it comes out of the Gazette, the government will review everything and make sure there's no issues with registering the name, and then it will get registered. Like I said, this whole process takes about a year. They're very behind and a lot of people are filing for trademarks. But within 24 to 48 hours, it should be available and you should be able to go into the Amazon brand registry side and type in your serial number and they will put it into the system. Mine was approved pretty quickly, but it could take up to 48 hours to a week or so for it to get fully approved, for it to show up as a brand in your account. Also, one thing I do want to note, once you apply for a trademark, you will start receiving tons of letters, what I would call scam and junk mail. You do not need to use any of these services that want you to pay thousands of dollars to protect your brand. You can do that on your own. You do not need their help. Your trademark is good for 10 years. I got my brand in, I think 2018. I was just looking up at my certificate. I think it's 2018 and it is good for 10 years. So I don't even need to worry about that yet, but I'm already receiving scam mail that says I need to pay them a bunch of money to help keep my brand active in the system. You don't have to do that. I'm sure there is a fee for renewal, but it's 10 years down the road and I'll worry about that in a few more years. So make sure that when you're applying to get your trademark, you go to uspto.gov to actually get your trademark or your respective country. I know Canada's more expensive. I think it was like $450 because I looked into it at one time to try to get my brand in Canada to be in the Amazon Canada store, which I'm still contemplating, but it wasn't the right time for me to do that for my business. But I know there's different laws and regulations about trademarks in specific countries, and I can only speak to the US side because that's all I've done. Some of the reasons you should join brand registry. There's several. Like I said, you get access to exclusive content, but the main reason is to help protect your brand identity. This will help prevent unauthorized sellers from using your listings or accessing your brand information without your consent. This doesn't happen as much in the Handmade side, but in the regular side of Amazon, if you have a listing, let's say you're Nike, and I want to list I buy wholesale from Nike and I want to list them on Amazon for sale to compete with Nike on selling their shoes, I would actually put in the UPC and it would marry those listings together. Now, one of the things that shows up in the backside of Amazon in your Seller Central account is your buy box win percentage. So that is when you see the thing, I'll throw a picture up. When you see the thing that says add to cart, and then underneath you see more buying options, you want to be that add to cart button, because if you go down into the more buying options, there may be some cheaper ones, but that's also where used products are listed and that kind of thing. So you want to win that add to cart button. So you essentially end up competing with every seller that's selling that particular UPC item. To list on the regular side of Amazon, you have to have a UPC or GTIN number. On the Handmade side, you do not have to have a UPC or GTIN number because it is a handmade unique item. Like I said, getting your listings hijacked is not as big of a thing on the Handmade side, but it does allow you to report violations if you see any. And reporting the violations to Amazon is always easier if you have brand registry, because it gives you a separate team that's all they do is work with brands on violations and trademark infringements. The trademark also helps protect you off Amazon. So if someone on Etsy were copying your product, then you could send them a cease and desist on Etsy with your trademark. Without it, it's going to be a lot harder to defend. You get the ability to go into the dashboard, and I will throw that up as well. And you can see all the things that you get access to, like reporting violations and just checking on your brand registry and making sure that it's still active. Once you report a violation, you can also monitor the status there as well. So kind of the second reason that having brand registry is great is you get access to A+ content. Now, if you go into a listing like a Nike, since we've already used that example, when you scroll down into the listing, there will be this enhanced content where there's all these pictures and things that may not be in the actual listing. And there's a lot of extra text around the brand and the product. And I can show some of what A+ content looks like. If you're not brand registered, you do not have access to this. And all that will show up is when you list your item, you will put in a description and bullet points. That's all that you'll have access to. With the A+ content, you get access to all the enhancements that come along with that. Allows you to showcase your product more professionally with more information and entice the buyer to purchase. This also helps you stand out among your competitors. So if you're both selling, this unique shoe, then yours may stand out more just with the A+ content. And side note, Amazon does like for you to have A+ content. They do push stores with A+ content, so it's definitely in your best interest to get brand registry and add A+ content to your items. The third reason to join brand registry would be to build trust with your customers. We all know that customers like to have that brand trustworthiness and understand what they're buying a little more, and this will allow them access to that information. Like I said, using the A+ content will definitely drive more customers to your product listings, and it also appears as a more polished and professional site. So that is one of the other reasons to join. Another reason to join is to boost your product visibility. Like I said, Amazon likes to push the stores and items that have A+ content. So that makes it easier for people to see those, and you appear higher up in the search results. You also gain access to more reporting and more search term reports through Amazon when you have brand registry. I'll try to show some of the stuff that I have access to with brand registry, but you get access to a lot of reports about your different ASINs or your different products, and also from your brand itself. So you can see how often people are searching for things and the search terms that landed them on your listing, and you can get more information about where you appear in the search results. You can use that information to help enhance your listing and add more SEO. So if I'm seeing that some people are landing on my listing with a particular search term, I can make sure those search terms are included either in my title or in my description or in my bullet points or down in my keyword box. The other thing that it gets you access to is an Amazon storefront. So you can actually use this like your own website. And if someone clicks on your brand name, they will actually go to your storefront and see that store. So when you see a listing, let's just use Nike, it will say underneath the title, it will say brand Nike. When you click on that, it will take you to the Nike store on Amazon, and you can see everything that is listed in their store. You can set that up however you want. You can put your banner image at the top. You don't have to do that. You can also set up your menus how you want them. You can categorize your listings. You can do a lot of different things with the Amazon storefront. And that's one of the things I'm working on in 2025 to kind of revamp the way it looks so that it's more user-friendly. You can also use that storefront to talk about your brand story and your products a little more if that's something you want to do as well. So like I said, the other thing is it also allows you to protect your listing from counterfeiters and allows you to report those on the back end, and so that they get taken down more quickly, as opposed to not having that and it just has to go through the regular Amazon support. So that does speed up that process. You also have access to something called sponsored brand ads. So a sponsored brand you have access to through brand registry. So in the campaign manager, you can do a sponsored product, which is just how it shows up in the search results. If you search for something like shoes, you'll see some sponsored things, and then you'll see the first line. So those sponsored items are sponsored products. You'll also see sponsored display. That shows up kind of on the sidebar, so it can show up on Amazon, it could show up on YouTube, it could show up in Google search. Anywhere that has like Amazon ads on their site, then your sponsored display could show up. The other one that you have access to if you're brand registered is sponsored brands. So that will show up as like if I search for planner stickers, Bloom Daily Planners uses sponsored brands a lot, and they'll have like a big, huge section of the search results page that will be a video playing or lots of pictures, and they'll have a product to the side. That is a sponsored brand ad because it's advertising the brand as a whole, not necessarily one particular product. you'll have access to those as well. And this can drive more traffic just to your store and to some of your listings because of the placement of those kinds of ads. And I will say that if you use sponsored brands, you do have to put a little more work into what shows up because you need to have specific content that's centered around your brand. If you look at some of Bloom's stuff, it's centered around their planners, their stickers, and everything that they sell, not just one particular product. So why is it even worth it for a handmade seller? We've covered a lot of items, and the main thing is brand protection, but it also gets you access to all these enhancements and puts you right in the running to be on the top page of search results and allow you to compete with some of the other mainstream sellers on Amazon. Protecting your intellectual property should be at the top of your list, because if you do get hijacked on Amazon or off, it's gonna take a lot of work to get it back, and it's gonna consume a lot of your time. You're not gonna be able to put as much into your business, and it could cost you thousands of dollars to try to get a lawyer and try to get that person to take that listing down. Whereas if you have a trademark and brand registry, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to fight and get the listing removed more quickly. I can share from personal experience that brand registry has definitely helped my business. It has given me more insights into how my brand is doing as a whole. You can see lots of segments of returning customers, new customers, who leaves items in carts. You can also do a lot of extra coupons and things behind the scenes for people that have items in their cart. You can target those people specifically. You can target people that have purchased from your brand before with coupons. So you can do a lot with the brand registry kind of behind the scenes that most people don't know about. So that is another reason that you should apply for brand registry, because it's easy to do and there's a lot that you can access behind the scenes. Joining brand registry is super easy. Like I said, you'll need a trademark, and then you can just go into the back end, enter your serial number, and that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to it. We'll talk about requirements and eligibility in another video, but it should be super easy to just go in. Once you get your trademark serial number, you'll need that. You go in, you type it in, and it actually uses the serial number to search the uspto.gov website. I'm not sure what they call it in Canada. I don't know if it's a serial number or something else, but you'll enter that and the country, and it should, behind the scenes, look for everything and make sure that you've entered that correctly and that it matches what you're selling in Amazon. Also, I am not an attorney. I have no legal training whatsoever. So please don't, use any of this as gospel. You'll need to do your own research for your country or even the US to apply for a trademark. And like I said, if you're super unsure and you really don't want to try to do this yourself, highly recommend Indie Law for handmade sellers. And that's what they do, is help entrepreneurs and business owners with trademark issues. So if you're ready to take control of your brand, stand out from the competition, and gain more sales, what are you waiting on? Join Amazon Brand Registry today. And if you're new to Amazon, I always have my free 3-step easy checklist down in the description box below to help you get started with your own Amazon handmade storefront. I hope to catch you in the next video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.